following program on Other Derana 24 is classified for general audience. It is intended for all ages. It contains little or no violence, no strong language, and little or no sexual dialogue or situations. We would like to remind our viewers that the views expressed in this program by our participating guests are solely viewpoints of them who take part, and does not reflect the views and beliefs of the Derana Media Network.
Welcome down to Gen XYZ right here on Other Derana 24. Well, today we're right here at Golf Face and we're giving to you something very special. We've got two individuals, lovely couple by the way, and they are kite professionals. Yep, that is actually a profession, and that's exactly what you just had a look at as well. So, well, let's go have a little chat with them as to what is exciting and what is going to happen in Sri Lanka and in this premises as well, all right? Well, hi, how are you guys doing? It's so nice. By the way, really cool instrument here. And I want you to put it down and let's have a little chat as to what this is as well. So we're joining in with the beloved wife of Michael as well. Well, Michael, thank you so much for joining us on Gen XYZ. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. And I want to tell you, first of all, that was amazing, right? That is absolutely epic. And tell us what exactly it is.
Okay, this is very special. It's a box kite because the box kite was invented by an Australian named Lawrence Hargrave. He's on the old 20-year-old note. Okay. So symbolically to me, a box kite is an Australian kite. Mm-hmm. So what I do when I go to, I use kites to teach. So I have all these marsupials and even the Australian coat of arms. And when I go to schools, even overseas, I teach them all about Australia through my kite. So I've got a koala up here, koala with a joey. And the Australian coat of arms, you've got a kangaroo and an emu. And these are very special creatures because they never go backwards, so they're forward moving. Okay. Then you've also got a lyra bird, which is on the Australian 10-cent piece, like a bird of paradise, but it imitates sounds. And it sounds like a different, like even camera click, or even a chainsaw, and even a motorized camera. And it imitates the sounds to impress the female. Okay. And if the female is impressed, they'll have babies. Now, this is a goanna. We have lots of big lizards.
Yes, a water monitor is what we call it here in Sri Lanka.
And this one up here, we have 13 different types of cockatoos. And the difference between a cockatoo and a parrot is a cockatoo has a crest.
Yes.
And this is a special creature in the south of Australia called a leafy sea dragon. It's a seahorse which has all these appendages, looks like seaweed, so it's camouflage in the water, but also the female lays the eggs on the male's tail and the male looks after babies. And these are honey ants. When I go and work in the north with the Aboriginal people, they dig out these ants which are full of honey, and they're beautiful dessert. It's crunchy but sweet.
Now that is very weird and bizarre to me, Michael. I'll tell you why. Because you think of ants being like, yeah, crunchy maybe, but not really sweet. Yes. Yeah. Tell us what the story that is, because the biological sense of things.
What these ants do is because they want to feed their babies, and also in case of drought. They give them a lot of, they live on the nectar of flowers, and they collect all that, and so they are emergency for times. But then if you find them and you dig them out, they're beautiful. Yeah. I've tried some, but so it's crunchy but sweet. We have animals called a wombat, and we have a lot of animals have pouches, but this one, because it burrows, the pouch faces backwards, so the baby comes out the back. Yeah. And also, the most amazing thing about a wombat, their poos come out like a Rubik's Cube, because they mark their territory. Okay. And nobody's worked out how they come out cube. And
this is all painted in, right?
They're permanent markers that are
decorated. Okay, all right.
And this is a frill-neck lizard, a lizard with a huge frill, and it lives in the north. And during the monsoonal time, it'll hibernate. But as soon as the rain comes, it'll start dancing around, so people know it's going to rain.
It's going to rain. Nice.
And it's got a frill, and we have a lot of sharks.
I know. All right, that's amazing.
My favorite animals, these are the platypus.
Okay.
The platypus and the echidna are the only two animals in the whole world which lay eggs. They're called monotrines, and the rest of all the marsupials, the babies are called puggles, but this one and the echidna, their babies are called called joeys, but these babies are called puggles. They're very interesting. And my favorite lizard, this is a thorny devil.
Right.
It looks very dangerous, but it's camouflage, it's soft. And it also changed color. And we have them in the north where I live, so when I see them on the road, I stop and pick them up. They're cute. So there's all these, so I've used this to teach. And even when I was running the workshops here in Sri Lanka at the convention center, I told them all about this and they were fascinated. Even the parents who were there loved this loved the stories.
I love it. Now this is obviously, this is the first time I've actually seen like a box kite that's flying literally in the skies of Colombo. I've never seen it before, so it's really epic that you guys actually came on board as well. Now, kiting is a really weird thing to think about, right? Because you do it when you're a child, but you never think of it to be a profession.
Well,
how did it become a profession?
Well, I originally became a graphic artist in 1980. Some of my friends who come along, we're all graphic artists. But I went into using kites to decorate the sky. So my art form is in the sky with kites. And I have lots of applique kites and then I use that to decorate the sky. And I'm going to have one with a kangaroo and a joey, and I have lots of Japanese koi, and I have a spiraling snake, which is called a waggle in Aboriginal culture. In fact, we were having games with the children to try and catch the waggle. And we gave them some Australian candy like fantails and minties.
All right. And obviously you come with your lovely wife as well. And how did you find this very odd person who loves to do kiting and teach children as well?
We're working in the same hospital together. that's right.
I was the orderly and she was the nursing sister in charge.
That is amazing.
And we suddenly got together.
Okay.
And in '73 we moved to Perth because she comes from Perth, and we've been married ever since then. We've been married together for 52 years.
52 years.
Yeah,
I mean, that is absolutely epic. Honestly, it's such an inspiration to Sri Lanka as well to have you guys, come on board to Sri Lanka, teach us so many other things as well, because kiting is very unique here. We do it when we were children, but then as soon as we grow up, we're like, oh no, we don't want to do it.
What's interesting about it now is that children with computers, they need to go outside, harness the wind to decorate the sky, and just enjoy the wind, then go outside. And so it's that balance in life. So we need to encourage them to come outside, not just be inside and just study and on the computers. So that's what I enjoy. So I love being outdoors and working with families. We were working with so many families, children, and even the adults. And they're quite amazed what we were doing. And maybe we'll inspire somebody to take up my job in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, 100%. Now, Michael, I really want to understand, you obviously came and taught a couple of children in Sri Lanka as well, right? Yeah. When you compare it from Australia to Sri Lanka, I think Sri Lanka is a little bit more of a developed country, or is developing of a country. And we immerse ourselves, and we're sort of taught to immerse ourselves as well in books and, in computers and so much more as well.
Yeah.
Why is it important to sort of go back into our roots and really, enjoy ourselves in the outdoors, enjoy the sun, enjoy the wind, do things like this as well? That is super cool. Why is it important?
Well, basically a kite is a cheap man's sport. And I was brought up in Mumbai in India, and I flew fighter kites from tops of buildings, and that was great. But then when I came to Australia, I realized the potential to decorate the sky, but also at first I thought about advertising the sky, blah, blah. But now I just got into decorate, and it's become my full-time job. In fact, one of my kites that I've got is an arch of 400 kites. I haven't got it this time, maybe I'll get it next time, and we might even get students to decorate kites and add them to that. So I can see the potential to teach, to have a lot of fun, and make it a nice family activity. Get everybody involved. In fact, in our workshops, a lot of the adults came and took part. And I think it's important to get the families together, but having fun together.
And that's wonderful. I really appreciate you coming to Sri Lanka as well to do that.
We appreciate you having us.
Of course. What are the differences you find when it comes to Sri Lanka and obviously Australia as well when it comes to kiting? Like, make it an industry, and how do you make that? How do you see the difference?
Well, in the world nowadays, kiting is, a certain percentage of people fly. But then I made it a profession. But then when they have festivals, they come along. We run festivals all around in Western Australia. It's quite a huge place. And then I have, in fact, one festival for Australia Day. We give away 400 box kites. So my other friends who come along, and Jan, they run the workshops, and then I do the flying. We decorate the place, and then I can also sort of fascinate them, and also tell them about the kite culture from all different countries. Because for instance, in India you got the patang, which is with the
what is it called? It's called a patang. Patang. Okay.
It's a kite, and then it's got a diamond tail. They're highly maneuverable. You can make them dive and swerve and go in lots of different directions by the skill of the fly. Also, they have a mixture of powdered glue and rubber on lines. So by friction burns, you can cut each other's dogfight and cut each other's kites.
Really? Oh my God.
There's a book called The Kite Runner.
Okay.
And that's about 2 young boys in Afghanistan who befriended each other through kiting and recovering kites. So the kite was used as a trophy, so they collected the kites. And I go to, like in Japan, they have different kites. In fact, quite often kites were used to communicate with the gods because they believed that the god was in the sky. They had messages on their kites and flew and write down the prayers, and they fly the kite about 50, 60 meters up in the sky, so the gods could look down and read their prayers. And that is very common in a lot of Asian countries.
And what do you think Sri Lanka can actually do something when it comes to, you know, flying kites as well? Can we like communicate with the gods, give messages?
I think anybody can do if they want to.
But it's that symbolism of being involved and praying and having symbols that maybe the god can understand and write down your prayers. And in fact, some places like in Greece, they write down all their worries on the kite, and they fly the kite about 50, 60 meters, and they cut the string, so hopefully they worry all their problems have gone. So it's different ideas and symbols, and I've got to discover some of the interesting aspects of kite flying in Sri Lanka, and maybe when I go back, in fact, all your symbols, one of the most important symbols I've come across is fishing on the beach on a pole.
Yes.
Very Sri Lankan.
Yes, it is.
And I have to see that. And even your elephants.
Yes.
And some of the different animals, and you know, like you might have some types of lions. In fact, even your logo on your flag, I have to understand and study that. So when I go back to Australia, I can teach the children all about Sri Lanka.
There you go. That's exactly what we want to do as well.
It's that cultural exchange.
It is, exactly. Now, you beautiful lady, honestly, I love the fact that you're here to support, you know, Michael as well. Flying around the country, flying around the world at the same time.
Yes.
How do you find, you know, Sri Lanka when you came to Sri Lanka? Do you like the food?
I love the food, but I love meeting people and learning all about the different cultures in different countries around the world. And this is new to me in Sri Lanka, so that's something new to learn. It's wonderful, and meeting the people and the families is really wonderful. And I run the workshops, and it's just wonderful to see the families working together and learning how to make a kite and doing things like that. It's wonderful. Yes, it's. You know, Sri Lanka is, every country's got its beautiful culture, and hopefully the Western culture doesn't take over. You know, the Americans bring in their culture, and it's on the television all the time and everything, and the local things are forgotten. It's very sad. So I think, you know, encouraging your local culture is most important.
Hold on to your culture, and because even with your kites and all that you have too. And so we've got to continue and even promote and then sort of publish that as a symbol of Sri Lanka.
All right, there you go. That's exactly what I love as well, to, you know, really do and promote in Sri Lanka out there in the world. Now, I want to know one thing that, you know, we'll start with you. One thing that you're really going to love about Sri Lanka, and you're going to take it to Australia and like just share it among Australians as well.
Oh, one thing. One thing. Goodness me.
We can, you know, we can increase it a little bit, but one thing, one big thing.
Well, it's the families and the children. That's what I really love, working with them. So I just take it into me and take it with me. I think that's the way to do it.
I love that. Thank you so much. Well, what is it with you?
With me, coming from India originally, in fact, in 1967 I migrated to Australia. So I've been living 57 years. I love the spicy food. Yes, I know. In fact, when I came, I spent 2 days in Sri Lanka in 67 on my way to Australia, migrating, and my father had to try this crab curry, but it was so hot for him. So I've got to have this Sri Lankan crab curry, and the rest of the cuisine. We've been trying some of their food and we're really enjoying that.
Yep, and I love it. Good. I love it. So are you going to take that to Australia? You're going to share it and say, hey, Sri Lanka's got the best crab curries.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What I enjoy cooking. And so maybe I'll have to learn to make the nice crab curry and make it, and even for our children. In fact, we have a granddaughter who's 29 and she likes spicy food. So we've got to teach them. And
we have people in Australia from all over the world, so they've brought not only their culture but their foods, and we celebrate it in Australia. So we're all getting used to spices, so it's really lovely, and that's what we enjoy. Yes.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. And I think very exciting thing that we have to talk on the other segment is the Kite Festival, which you guys are actually going to be a part of as well. We'll talk a little bit more on the other side, but until then, this is Gen XYZ right here on Out There 24. We're in conversation with Michael, along with his beautiful wife as well, Jane. Well, we are going to talk a little bit more about the Kite Festival that's going to happen right here in Sri Lanka. But until then, going to jump into a short commercial break. welcome back to Gen XYZ right here on Other Than 24, where we're in conversation about something super spectacular that's going to happen right here in the premises of Colombo, where we are talking about the International Kite Festival. And we've got Michael, along with his beautiful wife, who's joining us from Australia, of course, to tell us a little bit of what his profession is when it comes to flying kites. Yep, that's an actual profession, by the way. I didn't know it until today, but it's really fascinating because, you know, I really want to know, why did you think of Sri Lanka out of all the countries, especially when it comes to organizing a kite festival in Sri Lanka? Why do you think it is very important that we do it as Sri Lanka?
Well, I've been to 24 different countries and I've enjoyed it. This is my first time to Sri Lanka. They've invited me a few times, but this time I had an opportunity to come and to experience these beautiful culture with people out here just enjoying themselves as families. And hopefully at the festival, they'll all come along and fly their kites with their parents.
Yep,
and just enjoy being outdoors and harnessing the beautiful winds that you have up here.
That is right. And obviously I want to know a little bit more in terms of organizing it, right? Because I think Sri Lanka does organize quite a lot of things, and our main source of income in the country of financing is actually tourism. And why is it important when we sort of organize things like this? Why is this particular thing very important when it comes to grabbing the eyes of tourists around the world?
Well, it's important because we basically decorate the sky. So with all that kites,
I like how you put it there.
Inflatables, decorating the sky with all these different kites, and you've got such a huge area to spread out and then decorate the sky, and people come along and just, and also the young people with their own little kites come and join us.
Yeah.
And just having a nice family fun day, decorating the sky, and people come along and get to know the other people from Sri Lankan people, and I think it'd be a great tourist idea because of the fact that you are decorating the sky with harnessing a natural resource, which is wind.
All right. Now you also said the fact that you've traveled around the world, right?
Yeah.
And how do you see at present, how do you see the world still being attracted to flying kites and seeing decorated skies?
I think it's very important, especially nowadays with modern technology. Children sort of stay at home and they play with the computers, and they rarely go outside. In fact, when we go to a park, people are still looking at their phones while they're walking around. Excuse me, there's so much beauty around you. So this way, coming outside and meeting other people, and also getting away from the indoor activities, which a lot of people, and so it's just that balance in life, not just working and studying, but also coming out and enjoying other people's company and the beautiful food that you have on the beach.
Street, yeah, we have a lot of amazing food as well. I think you saw some of them. You want to eat some of them? We're going to do that. Okay.
You're also communing with nature.
Yes.
And it's something in your history. This kite flying and kite making is part of your culture. You have to look after it and treasure it
and continue with it and pass it down.
Now, is there something that we can sort of expect from this Sunday that's actually going to be showcased from you specifically?
As I sort of said, the box kite to me is a symbolic and an Australian kite invented by an Australian named Lawrence Hargrave on the old 20 note. And I specialise in box kites to promote Australia. And I did have a box kite with lots of these symbols of Australia. But at the festival, I'll have one with 28 boxes and very long, 15-metre long tails. So I'll make it dance in the sky and just add a bit of colour.
Really?
And then I've also got a kite with which is like a road sign, which is about a kangaroo with a joey.
Okay.
And then I'm going to get that to use about 7 or 8 Japanese koinobori in the sky. Then I've also got my spiralling snake to sort of, which is the waggle, some of the Aboriginal logos. And then we can talk to them about this and probably educate them about. And then I've also got a kite with the frill-neck lizard. It's a lizard which is flat and all applique. So a lot of kites you probably see at the festival are works of art, which people to applique to decorate the sky. And also I use that to teach a symbolism. So when they're in the sky, we'll talk about all these special creatures we have from Australia, but depicted on my kites.
All right. Now, obviously, before we actually did the whole thing as well, you said that this entire thing, the material, is actually designed by the indigenous people of Australia. How did that come about? And I love the texture as well. And how did that come about? Well, the T-shirt's not stitched by them, but the material is
printed. Yeah. Well, basically, they invite me to work with their special days like NAIDOC Week and their different cultural weeks. And I pick up all these beautiful T-shirts, which are works of art from Aboriginal people, and they have lots of symbolism about going bush and getting bush tucker and families eating together and eating goannas and fireplaces. So quite often I like to use my T-shirts to promote Australia. And people, in fact, people so many recognise me as being Australian with my shirts from Aboriginal culture.
Okay.
But also, some Indigenous people have started their own companies to make these T-shirts.
Yeah.
So it's not, white people coming and doing things for them. They do these things themselves. They're getting educated now.
And they have lots of stories behind them too. So sometimes I find the stories and I tell people about them. And in fact, there's one of my kites that I've got on Aboriginal artefacts like woomeras, which are spears. In fact, the rocket range in South Australia is called a woomera because after the spear throwing. And you've got coolamons, which is the side of a tree, which is to carry things. They even use that to carry babies.
Okay.
And then I have all these different symbols. So quite often I use all these symbols, even in Australia, to teach Australian children about Aboriginal culture.
Mm-hmm. Now, you constantly keep saying the fact that you actually teach, children, you keep teaching them different parts of things when it comes to kiting, when it comes to the culture of Sri Lanka, when it comes to the culture of different parts of the world, Australia mainly as well. But when you think about the creative aspect of things, right, I think a lot of us are sort of like inclining ourselves into technology, into what a computer is, what 1 + 1 is, that's it, it's just as numbers. It's not having that creative thought. How are you going to sort of come into Sri Lanka? Now, obviously you're in Sri Lanka. How are you going to come into this particular, kite festival and sort of like bring in that creative side of everyone? We're talking about adults, we're also talking about children.
Yes, we're doing kite workshops and anybody can come and make a kite. And I always say, adults as well as children, I always say, why should children have all the fun?
Mm-hmm. So, adults need to have fun as well.
Yes, of course.
So we have about 300 little A5 kites with lots of symbols of marsupials, and the kids can colour them with connector pens. Then Jan and Annette, they be around the workshops, and then we'll get them, make them into kite. We've got some bigger hexagons, and so I find as a graphic artist, I use my graphic sense to decorate the sky, but also teach people about symbols. In fact, in 1985, Britain stopped trading with the colonies, and they joined the EU. So a lot of our trade to Britain had stopped. So then we realised, they wondered, now who can we trade with? They suddenly realised there's all these Asian countries north of Australia. And so they're starting trading with Asia, and so I use my kites to teach them about Asian culture, because there's a lot of every Asian country has got a particular kite that symbolises that country. So I use that symbolism to teach them about Asian culture.
All right.
And I got a lot of work from that, and never look back.
Never look back. Well, Michael, I really want to know, a lot of people watching it right now as well are very interested in coming on board of this amazing day that's going to be on Sunday.
Yeah.
And this is obviously, the Kite Festival, the International Kite Festival. What can, the people watching, what can they actually expect that's something unique, very exciting on that day?
There'll be lots of inflatable kites, which are like three-dimensional, different animals.
3D?
3D
kites,
3D.
All right, there you go.
They hold the vents in the front, they balloon the whole thing, and they zip it up.
Okay.
And they create different animals like whale sharks and different creatures, and in some of our Chinese have different Chinese characters. And apart from that, there'll be single string kites, box kites, there'll be other different shapes and designs. And to come along here, you'll see all the variety from 20 different countries.
20 different countries. What are these countries besides Australia?
Well, I've heard of Ukraine just turning up, and we had Tunisia, and we got the Chinese, and probably from New Zealand.
Wow.
And there'll be a variety from different countries with their own kite culture, and there's a lot to learn from these people, and maybe also dress up in their costumes. That'll be good.
All right. And what are you most excited about, about on this particular day?
Doing the workshops and meeting people and, playing with the children and
the parents.
Yes. Yes, as I said, why should children have all the fun?
Yeah. You need to have the adults as well, the parents come and have fun.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much once again for, coming on board to Sri Lanka, bringing all of these aspects of things when it comes to uniting different people from different parts of the world as well.
Yes.
But one such thing that I really, really want to ask is, the timings of this particular thing as well. So which time would you suggest people to come here and enjoy and really fly the big kites, if you would put it that way, the 3D kites?
Maybe after midday, 12 o'clock.
Okay.
On Sunday, they've got a huge itinerary.
Yes.
But Saturday's quite big too. But maybe come and bring their lunch over and come and join and sit down and watch the whole thing. And it'll be going on till about 5 or 6 in the evening. So there's around about that time, and watching the sunset with the kites, that'll be magic.
Mm-hmm. And you see a couple of kites up here as well. As you can see, there's a bunch of kites. We've got like snakes, birds. We've got the traditional kite as well. So, we've got a really high one there as well.
Yeah.
So, what when you had a look at all of this, this is exactly where we have all the kites flying.
Yeah.
What really impressed you? Because we do have the kites already flying, 24/7.
Yeah, but the most amazing thing, you got this beautiful sea breeze.
Yes.
And it's constant and steady, and that's the way. And it's to see all these kites in the sky is magic. I mean, it's not even the festival day, but it seems to be a regular occurrence that people come and fly their kites, and I'm loving it.
You're loving it.
I'm so happy to see all these families enjoying themselves and watching the sunset, and so it's to me it's a bit of magic.
But also, when they see what other people have done with kites, perhaps that'll encourage certain people to do something like that themselves and find out.
Be more creative.
Be more creative, yes. Realise what they can do.
All right, and that's very important.
Inspirational. Yes. Hopefully inspire them to be creative.
Yes, that's very important. Well, one more thing that I wanted to ask is in terms of, when you consider the whole aspect of family, it's very important. Like, the both of you have such a rich family as well. I gotta be honest, okay? You both have like such a rich, history as well when it comes to being in love, having children as well. How did you incorporate your children into these activities when it comes to kiting, when it comes to going out there, loving nature, loving the breeze? How did that come about?
Well, when they were young, they used to always come along and fly with us, and at festivals help us out. And then even now, when they're older, we sort of get them to come along and we take them out for dinner too. So it's incorporating and just having fun with families, but because they have that experience of working with us. And this is why my other friends, Andrew and Annette, they've come along and they've worked with us in the past. So they're running workshops too with Jan. And so we try to get the family involved. Even our granddaughter at times comes
is going through as well.
And maybe in the future we might get her over to help
as well.
us out.
All right.
And so so far we've enjoyed life with our family, but also incorporated with family, and just it bonds us together.
All right. So what do you think in Sri Lanka, especially the Sri Lankan families, right? It's a Sunday. We love our Sundays. We usually, we do our religious activities on Sunday, and we chill at home. We eat all of the things. But this Sunday is going to be a different story. Okay. They've got to come here and they've got to enjoy what Sri Lankan skies are going to be lit with all of these decorations as well. What do you think the families that are watching in right now, or the dads, the mums, what can they expect on this particular day? And why is it important that they bring their children here as well and really immerse themselves in the decorated skies of Colombo?
Well, there'll be so many families involved, but also Jan is going to run a workshop. Someone make a little kite. We've got about 300 to give away, plus another 50 hexagons. So they can even come and make kites at the workshop, but also just enjoy the food here and enjoy the rest of the families walking around. And they might even meet some international people, and also the international kite flyers.
Yes,
come and say hello.
Right, exactly. So we've got people coming in from different parts of the world. They're all kite masters, aren't they? All right. So why would you call yourself a master of kiting?
Well, I made it a full-time job.
You made it a full-time job.
For 37 years, and I'm still at 53, still enjoying life and flying kites. And
73.
Oh, sorry, I'm 73. I'm 73, and I mean, as long as I'm healthy and fit, I'm still keep going, and I enjoy it.
All right, that's very important. Now, what is your take on it, Jane? Because I think it's very important that a mum, a grandma, really needs a proud grandma as well. What do you have to say when it comes to the people of Sri Lanka to come on Sunday?
Come and immerse yourself in what is happening here, but bring your family and bring them along and do things together.
All right, wonderful.
And enjoy the decoration of the sky.
There you go. I love it. The tagline, enjoy the decorations of the sky. Well, thank you so much once again.
Pleasure.
We'll talk a little bit more in terms of a personal note of things, of some of the decorations that he's done in the past. Well, until then, this is Gen XYZ. Welcome back to Gen XYZ right here on Other Than 24. We're in conversation with Mr. and Mrs. Alvarez. There you go. So, well, they're joining in from Australia, obviously, to talk about a very important day that's happening in Sri Lanka, by the way. It is the Kite Festival that's happening on Sunday, and it's all things about kite, right? We obviously spoke everything about kites. Now, we've got different people coming in from different parts of the world as well, joining us to showcase their creativity and what they've created in their thought, and they brought it into light, and it's going to be flying across the skies of Colombo, and that's very exciting. Now, Michael, what I wanted to ask you is in terms of what kind of kites that actually, you put in your creative sense as well when it comes to, this is what you do, box kites. But besides that, you've got like a fleet of box kites that you put together and you're going to fly up here. What do they have to think about when it comes to the creative aspect of things? What can you just describe how you made it and all of that as well?
The creativity of the box kite is that it was the early ideas. The Wright brothers used a lot of Lawrence Hargrave's designs to develop the aeroplane. So the aerodynamics of the box kite was used to develop the aeroplane. That's very important.
Okay.
And
that's history for me.
History. And so I have multicellular box kites, but I can actually join them together to create different shapes in the sky with the long tails. And so you can change your creativity to the festival by adding and subtracting, and sometimes I even fly them in a train, and at home I've got a train of hexagons of 250. So but the thing is also you have different kites with different wind conditions. Some of them for light winds and strong winds. The box kites are ideal for strong winds. The other one, which I'll probably bring in the future, I've got arches of kites. I've got an arch of 400 kites, and great for strong winds. And in the future I might even get local people up here to decorate kites and add them to the arch.
All right, that's amazing. So is there something specific, because obviously, the wind can't really take all of their designs, all of the kites as well. Is there a certain wind, a velocity or a volume, if you put it that way? I don't know, I'm not a science student, but would that come into consideration?
Oh yeah, because the bigger the surface area, the lighter the wind, the better. And with the box kites, they spill a lot of the air. So that's why they handle strong winds. But arches, the stronger the wind, they go up and they spill the air. So kites have got different bits of aerodynamics to spill wind and also capture the wind for the different wind conditions. So the lighter the wind, the bigger surface area to capture more breeze and to fly in light winds. And when you have trains of kites, what's interesting is as they fly, they very much move in the shape of the wind, so they might go in a rhythm. That's quite nice in its way. They look a bit like a snake. And sometimes even when I fly kites at night, people say, how do you fly the kite when there's no wind? So I have a long launch, and the higher you go, it's like a blanket. So 30 meters below there's wind, but above that it's roaring wind. So you've got to learn how to catch the breeze to fly in the different wind conditions. So a lot of my experience is from assessing the strength of the wind and then flying. I've got parafours for strong winds, and then box kites, and for lighter winds I have bigger surface area, like all the rokaku, as the Japanese say, which means six-sided kites, which I've got a huge surface area. So maybe on the day of the festival the wind will be lighter, so we'll have the bigger, and then you have the box kites and they take over. So in a way, with the festival, with the different wind conditions, different things will take over to add colour to the sky. And people, if they stay all around for the whole day, will observe a lot of these different kites.
All right. It's very complicated when you actually think about, you having a fleet of kites put together and attached together as well. Because you said one kite actually takes a different, consumption of air, and it sort of goes with the wave of the air. But then how about an entire fleet of, kites put together? Aren't they going to take different waves of the air, and then that's going to go haywire, or it's going to drop down?
But it depends on how you fly them. Like an archer will go sideways, and as the wind blows through, it'll just spill the air. So the stronger the wind, the higher it goes. I have an arch of 400. So then it'll go. In fact, I can just about fly halfway up these tall buildings. So that is called a kite arch, which is for stronger to moderate winds. And the other kites actually harness the wind. It's like when you're watching a bird fly, you've got the V shape. So as the wind hits the bird, it spills on either side. It gives it balance. The same way with kites. You have the dihedral, and the stronger the wind, the more the angle you have to spill more air. And the lighter the wind, you have a lighter angle, so it just sort of holds onto most of the air. So that's how it handles the lighter winds. So the aerodynamics, which is called the dihedral. And in a box kite, you've got a natural dihedral, but also the back that scoops the air. but it's continually spilling the air to make it fly.
Okay, that's wonderful. But I think it's very complicated. I still didn't understand because that's the way of things, you know, when it comes to kiting and everything.
Yeah.
This is a whole different industry. Now, I think a lot of the youth that probably has a passion to be, you know, kitist, is that what you call it? Or a kite master? We'll put it that way. Kite flyer, all right, there you go. Kite flyers, you know, they want to make it a profession as well.
Yeah.
I think the bigger question is when it comes to, if I am to make it a profession, financing is a problem.
Yeah.
How do you make it a financially stable, you know, sort of a profession that gives you that income as well? How does that come about?
When you start off with building kites with simple materials like the old shopping soda bags and even some of the local sort of even bamboo and cane. So simple things. And then when you start developing new kites, you can get into more using ripstop nylon or sailcloth, which is much more expensive. What they use to make the yachts or the sails of the yachts of kites, of boats, and that is a bit more expensive. So you can start with something simple and create different shapes. And I originally, with your bamboo and even what's that, rattan and all those things, you can create three-dimensional shapes and then add sails to the whole thing. But you can start off with simple paper and shopping center bags, and then eventually, once you've got your designs right, you can get into creating more complicated structures and to decorate the sky.
Okay, but how do you sort of make a financing out of it? How do you economically support yourself with, you know, being a kite master or a kite flyer?
The way I've done it is by running workshops at schools. So I might go to school, I might work with about 300 to 400 children, and everyone makes a kite each at $7.70 each, which is a lot of money. And then I get my fee. And what I do is I go there and I have a big display of my kites, and I talk about the history of kites relating to other cultures and also my kites. And then I get them to all make a kites, and then eventually at the end of the day, the last half hour, they all fly their kites, and I join them with my big kites, with all these Japanese koi. And sometimes I'll even do a lolly drop. Not this time. I send up a koala up in the sky with a Velcro pouch. And then in the pouch I've got lollies attached to parachutes.
Candies.
Okay.
And then when it goes about 50 meters up in the sky, I pull the Velcro pouch open, and it rains lollies, and the kids love it. So maybe my first time here, I'll assess the possibility of doing that next time, because we don't want to create any panic.
Yeah.
And so if they organise that, just have the children come along and just see the spectacle in the sky, and the adults love it too.
Okay, I think you should do it. I really think you should do it. I'll be there for the lolly, okay? Well, I want to also ask you in terms of the importance of culture, right? Everything that you do and what you mentioned as well is in terms of incorporating culture. I think a lot of individuals take a different turn and a take on what culture is. They would consider culture being, you know, it's an unnecessary thing, or it's a family loom that we'd actually, you know, bring forward. What in your mind, especially when it comes to, you know, incorporating it into kites and so much more, and teaching children as well, what in your mind is a definition of culture?
Well, first of all, just about every Asian country has got a particular kite that symbolises that country. And through my history that I found out in Japan, for instance, they used to use kites to communicate with the gods. Because they believed that God was in the sky, they had their kites, and they had different symbols that they presumed the gods could understand. Like a fan was a symbol of prosperity. If the fan was only slightly open, it meant you were very poor. If it was completely open, it meant you were very rich. So they wrote down their prayers in the kite, and then eventually flew the kite about 50, 60 meters up in the sky, so the gods could look down and read their prayers.
Yeah.
And that is very common in a lot of Asian countries, even in a place like Greece, where they have a certain particular day where they write all their problems out onto a kite, and they fly it about 50, 60 meters up in the sky and cut the string off, so hopefully all their problems have gone. So it's interesting how they create this mythology and sort of pass it down. And, you know, through a festival like a kite festival in Greece, it's a day of getting free again and all your problems have gone. The same way in Sri Lanka, you've probably got a particular kite which I've got to find out about and understand the culture and the reason why they flew kites and some of the mythology behind that too. So then I will have a chance to go to Australia and teach Australian children about Sri Lankan kites, and even have your flag. And now that you've explained to me the symbolism of the flag, I'll have something to teach them about. And I know some of the symbols, like fishing on the beach on a pole, and you've got your elephants and tigers and some of the... So there's a lot for me to learn coming this time about Sri Lanka, to take back to Australia and teach people over there about this, your beautiful country.
That is
but
right.
also, culture is not just a thing that doesn't move. It changes all the time, and you can add things to it, and that's what is the beauty of it.
All right. Now, I know that both of you are obviously parents, right? And I think Sri Lanka presently, I think youth members around the world is actually going through something in terms of depression. We do suffer a lot when it comes to mental health and so forth, right? It's very important because I think that something that you mentioned was the fact that, you know, a certain culture, what they do is in terms of writing all their worries on the kite and just fly it up there in the sky. It's a way and it's a method of sort of, you know, easing yourself and your mind from depression and whatnot. What do you have to say about that, especially the youth members, you know, watching that? What do you have to promote in that sense?
Well, I think nowadays with technology and youth being totally overwhelmed by technology, even at schools, you've got to stay. You've got to make times to go outside and enjoy this beautiful resource like wind, and even walking around and meeting other people, not just staying at home all the time. And it's very important to that balance in life.
Yes.
And to me, that's why I enjoy being outdoors, and hopefully get other people to come outside and just enjoy the beauty of the sky, and the families coming along. So it's that balance in life that's very important, not just study all the time. That's very important.
Okay, and what do you have to say? Because I think this is a very unique way of sort of like getting yourself eased out as well. When you suffer certain things mentally, when it comes to depression and heartbreaks, you name it, you know, it happens in the youth. So
yes,
what do you have to say?
But the fact that you're doing things with your family and your friends, I think that helps that if you've got mental problems and depression and things like that, or help you communicate with your family and your friends, and help you ease the problems you have inside you.
Being outdoors.
Being outdoors, connecting.
Oh, definitely.
Connecting with nature once again.
With nature especially, and also with people. And you're going for walks in the bush and in the parks, and just sort of understanding nature and that balance in life. That's very important.
All right, that's wonderful that you actually mentioned that as well, because I think it's very essential that Sri Lankans really, you know, get into that mindset of connecting back to nature, you know, really immersing what exactly Sri Lanka is all about. Yeah. And Sri Lanka is a small island, right? We need to sort of like connect back with that as well. So thank you once again for joining us today on Gen XYZ. Do you have one word to tell all the Sri Lankans watching right now? One thing that they can take as a take-home?
Go fly a kite.
Okay, there you go. Go fly kite. I love it. Non-offensively, by the way. It's a good thing. Thank you very much. And what do you have to say?
I agree with Michael. You know, getting out and with your family and friends and enjoying what nature has to provide is essential for your mental health. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much once again. It was really a pleasure to have you on board.
Yes.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure to have you on board as well. See you on Sunday.
Yeah, we'll look forward to that.
Decorating the skies of Colombo.
Definitely.
All right.
Jane's running workshop, so you come and make a kite with her.
100%. All right. Thank you so much once again.
I might have a souvenir for you when you come over.
There you go. I'm going to be there for that. Well, it is a wrap right here on Gen XYZ. Don't forget, in case you do definitely miss out on an episode as well, we are available on youtube.com/Derana English, or you can definitely text us and send across your feedback as well on feedback.ad24english@derana.lk, or we're WhatsApp line as well on 076-805-7933 are the numbers. But until then, we'll be back on Gen XYZ on a different episode with a different story and a different concept as well, right here on Other Derana 24.